Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Brazil time, and it's time for class. I hope you all can hear me. If you cannot hear me, please let me know. It's time for class. If you don't know me, my name is Renata. I am an English teacher, and I have been one for the past 15 years. Welcome to class. I'm here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Brazil time with my partner MC, who won't be joining me tonight, unfortunately, but she'll be back next week. Great, Layla, thanks for the feedback. Well, we have a very interesting topic to talk about today, and as usual, if you know this, or maybe you don't know this, I'm here to help take your English from that okay English to the English that your career demands, the English that only 2% of Brazilians actually speak. We want that 2% English, and in order to get there are many obstacles, there are many myths, there are many things that before learning we have to forget. We have to break some walls before we start leading the path, paving the way to that 2% English. Welcome everybody. Hello Denise, our dear gold digger. Hi Renato, Camila, Layla. Welcome aboard everybody. We have a very heartfelt class tonight with a lot of information based on articles that I have read, scientific articles and research. It's not just my opinion. I have gotten informed, and I have based everything that I'm about to tell you on scientific data as well. All right, I have the reference. If you guys want it, I can. Unfortunately, I can't link things yet here, but I can leave the link somewhere. All right, so before we get to the facts, let me tell you a story. Did you all know that I used to be a coordinator at an English school? I'm a teacher, but I have also been a teacher of teachers, training, preparing, correcting, observing classes, checking them out, seeing if everything was going well, instructing. So I have that in, as a baggage that I really, really love doing as well. I love teaching, so I loved teaching teachers as well. And when I was a coordinator, I used to select the teachers as well. And when I did that, of course, every now and then there were native speakers. And we trained them, and we kind of also gave them lessons about, grammar and things like that. And once a teacher came to me, an American, after a class, and that teacher came to me and said, American, okay, native speaker, born and raised there, and said, I remember precisely, I was teaching present perfect. And then he was like, wow, I never realized that we're not supposed to use yesterday, today, last week, last month with present perfect. Parenthesis, if you are enjoying the class and the topic, please hit the like here. If you believe that you can only get to the 2% English if you have a native speaker as a teacher, stay here with me. I will show you all about, what I really believe is the teacher that takes you there. So stay with me, and please hit the heart button here. So that teacher, Camila said, I could see that when I was in Dublin. Oh, okay, Camila, tell us more about that. What could you see when you were in Dublin, more specifically? I'm not sure I understand. So, and then he said, wow, I had no idea that I could not do that. So then it got me thinking, and it was not the only time that happened. That happened over and over again. I could not trust a native speaker with any group or student just because they were native speakers. I had to make sure that they knew what they were doing in terms of grammar knowledge, method, techniques. So it was something that, got me thinking. And then I have a question to ask you. Do you think you were able to teach Portuguese just because you speak Portuguese, just because you are a native speaker? Having a passport, having a birth certificate is not the same as having qualifications to teach English, How would you explain a word in Portuguese? How would you explain a grammar point? Voz passiva in Portuguese. How would you explain that to someone? Can you just do it instinctively? No, right? I have comments here. Good evening from Brazil. Hi, Luana. Hi, Nando. Hi, hello, Maísa, Camila. Oh, Camila, you could see that the native speakers in Dublin didn't really understand. Oh, most of them didn't know about all the verbs, the agreement. They're not used to learning that at the regular school. Sure. Cool. Thanks for the addition here, for the comment, Camila, because being in Dublin and you know, being with native speakers there, it's nice for everybody to see that it's, you know, it's not just me, it's a real thing that happens. Lucas said, I don't think so, because you need to have a methodology. Yes, Lucas, there are some pillars. I'm going to talk about those pillars that you should keep an eye on every time you're picking a teacher, every time you're choosing a teacher to be your teacher. These are things you should pay attention to, all right? I'll give you some tips on that as well. So the fact that someone is a native speaker or a non-native speaker doesn't automatically make them a better teacher. That's what I'm trying to say, all right? It's not better or worse. It's not determinant. And I will give you more reasons why. I will explain and give you the arguments as to why. Let me see what else here. You can leave your comments here, okay? All right, good evening, Otávio, Maísa, welcome. I appreciate your comments because I'm alone today. I'm flying solo. Okay. All right. I had English class with an Australian, Luan is saying, although he didn't understand my main questions and difficulty with the language. Speaking English isn't enough to be a teacher, a good teacher. She or he needs to have a method. Yes, you know, it's so interesting that you guys are bringing your pain points to the class, because I'm gonna talk about that one, about how important that is. You know what you just said. I will explain in a little bit what, as I said at the beginning of the live stream, that it's not something that you, Luana, or I think. It's something that has been researched. It's something that has been asked to a number of students, and they all, or most of them, gave the same answer. It's something that is real and scientifically established. All right. Hi, Emmanuel. Oh, thanks, Nand. I'm glad you liked our live streams. Thank you so much. Hi, Emmanuel, our dear student, Gold Digger, welcome to class. Some natives don't give us feedback. Yes, Lucas, and feedback is so important, isn't it? Feedback is what helps you grow. Feedback is what takes you there. Given the right amount at the right time, you know, with the right way, we can't go without it. We really can't. It's like in Portuguese, most people know how to speak because they're used to it, but not all of them can explain why it's right or wrong. You need to be really good at grammar, yes. And native speakers can also be bad at grammar. That has happened to me too. You know, a candidate, someone who wanted to become a teacher and did not know right from wrong, had a bad structure, you know. I have seen kind of like, ooh, this is a little wrong. That's not really how it goes. But I have heard a story once of a candidate that had very wrong English, very incorrect English, because correct Portuguese or correct English is not only connected with having been born in a country. And hold that thought, okay? Continuing, carrying on. All right, everybody, if you are enjoying the lesson, hit the little heart button to invite more people in. Okay, hold that thought, all right? Myth. The native speaker is usually seen as better because he is a model to be followed. That makes sense, right? They speak English, they live there. I want to do what they do. Logical, of course, it makes sense. It makes sense. So that's the myth. How he must have the most idiomatic English, the vast and the most amazing and vast vocabulary and perfect pronunciation. That's what we think about native speakers, right? Of course, clean pronunciation. Every single word in the dictionary that person must know, of course they know. and they have the best, the most idiomatic English. But first of all, one, pronunciation and accent, okay? Let's go step by step. Consider how many different dialects and accents there are in the world. Being a native speaker doesn't mean having a clean pronunciation, beautiful accent. What is beautiful and what is ugly? You know, first of all, there's no beautiful or ugly. There is functional. There is the accent that for me, a Brazilian, is easier to acquire. You know, that pronunciation is easier for me to acquire than that other one. Maybe learning English with an Irishman will be more difficult for me, Renata, than to learn English with an American. Maybe, maybe not. You know, so it's not about the beautiful and the ugly accent, the correct and the incorrect pronunciation. Native speakers come in all shapes and forms. And besides that, standard, better, understandable pronunciation, all right? These are terms that, you know, they don't really apply. What is standard? What is more understandable? What is better? And even native English speakers sometimes have difficulties to understand other native English speakers. It happens, right? It's not just us. They also have a hard time understanding certain accents, even in the same country. Even in the same country. So, also, knowing more words is not equal to being a native speaker. The vocabulary that you have acquired throughout your life, in Portuguese or in English, is related to how much you read, is related to your educational level, not to your birth certificate, not to your passport. Think about it, your own Portuguese. Are you, in Portuguese, are you one of those people that uses elaborate words? You know, you have a vast vocabulary, vast enough to be able to teach someone, if they read Machado de Assis, if they read, literature, something you can explain the words, any word that you come across. So, yes, vocabulary, the amount of words you know and you are able to use actively and explain is related to how much education you have acquired, not necessarily where you were born. You can be Brazilian and have an amazing vocabulary in English. You can be Mexican and have an amazing repertoire in English, and know a lot of words and study and read. And so it's not connected to where you are from. It's connected to your educational level, right? All right, and now, the best, the best, air quotes here, is that person the best, that knowing more English words, or is that person the best at teaching? Maybe they do know a lot. Maybe they do have correct English. Maybe the pronunciation is nice, great, clean, great to pass on as a model. But do they know how to teach? Is there a method? Or are they sitting with you and just letting you talk, and at the same time, like Lucas said, not giving you enough feedback maybe, and struggling to find a path, to find a method to teach you, just maybe following a book, let's follow this book, buy the book, let's follow the book. Is that the fastest way where you need to get, to your destination? What is your destination? Is your destination aligned with that method that the teacher is offering you? I want the 2% English. I want amazing English. I need amazing English. I just missed some comments here. Otávio said, it's like in Portuguese, sometimes it's hard to understand people from other regions. Yes. Minas, people from Minas. We are always memes. We become jokes because we eat the words up, and sometimes people can't understand what we said. And that's true. I do that a lot as well in Portuguese. Okay, and the fact that the teacher loves to teach. Hi, Carol. Welcome to class. Welcome, our gold digger. The fact that the person has communicating skills, has a method, loves to teach, Teaching is hard work. You have to love what you do. Being a teacher is a temp job. You know, I'm just going to go and teach a couple classes to someone. All right, go ahead and do it. But it's a tough job. To be excellent at teaching requires studying, requires preparation, class preparation, and most of the time, almost as much time as you teach, as you spend teaching, you spend preparing. The first time you teach something, you spend more time preparing than you spend teaching. Trust me. Any teacher out there, leave it in the comments if you agree with me, or maybe if you disagree with me. So it takes a long time. It's not just, I'll just go there and teach a class. You can do that, but you're not going to be a good teacher. All right, emotional intelligence, right, Camila? Sure. You know, sometimes you have a student that has a really hard time taking feedback, and they get anxious, and they freeze when they are corrected. You know, you have to find the right way to do it, not to block that person completely. You have to stimulate them to speak and to let things out, let things come out. But at the same time, you have to give feedback. You can't just let it go forever. Afraid of losing the student. That happens a lot too. It can happen, right? Like, I'm so scared of losing the student that I'm not gonna confront, right? just going to make things happy all the time. Everything is great. But, you know, it's complicated. It's really complicated. The other day, okay, now getting to the point that Luana, I think it was Luana that mentioned that, Luca said, I subscribe to the same idea. I'm used to having MBA lessons as a teacher, and sometimes I spend more time preparing than teaching. Lucas, been there. I've spent literally 8 hours preparing a 1 hour and a half class, you know, because I really wanted to do a great job. So it takes a while. It takes a lot of care. So about what Luana said, I think it was her. She mentioned that she went to, she had an Australian teacher. Someone had an Australian teacher that didn't really know their struggles. Yes. One of the things that the article that I mentioned talks about is this point. The pain points of an English learner. Brazilians have different pain points from Japanese, different pain points from Mexicans, etc., right? And the list goes on. What is important, like, for example, when I was young the other day, I even posted a picture about this. If you are enjoying the class, hit the heart button, please. Let me know. And I played volleyball as a child, like from 8 to 18. I played volleyball for a long time, not like professionally, not at a club, but I played 3 times a week, 1 hour and a half. I loved it. And my coach was a volleyball player who learned how to play volleyball. You know, he wasn't born with that ability. So whenever he corrected me and he told me, you need to change this, you're doing this wrong, I listened, because I knew that he was telling me that because he knew what was best for me. He had gone through the same path that I was going through, so he knew what he was doing. You know, he had experienced that. So I listened to him. When someone hasn't gone through the same pain points as you, I'm not saying they won't know. I'm saying that the experience is different and they may have a harder time understanding your pain points. It will definitely take longer for that person to have enough contact with enough people that had that struggle, let's say enough Brazilians, to understand how the Brazilian mind works, to be able to correct the Brazilian the correct way. Renata, pain points, for example, any point that is difficult to overcome when you're learning English. For example, let's say, to me, present perfect is a pain point. It's hard for me. You know, I struggle with it. And it's a pain point for many Brazilians, most, I would say, to understand and to use correctly, you know. So, so when, you know, I went through that, I went through every step of the way. I will be able to tell you from experience, and I will be able to know better, you know, what you're going through. It's like, you know, I remember when I was learning present perfect, you know, I had a confused been with being. I had no idea what was going on. Why? I didn't understand why. I couldn't say yesterday. Why? It's so crazy. You know, and you feel that. You remember feeling that, you know, confused or just angry at the language, you know. So a native speaker won't have that, you know. As I said, it doesn't mean they're not going to be good teachers. I just want us to disconnect, break the myth that native speakers are better teachers because they're native speakers. Great teachers are great teachers for a number of reasons. Knowledge, experience with the language, you know, contact with the language is one of them, not the only one. The other day, it wasn't a long time ago, I was watching a pronunciation video about something, and then they were saying pronunciation correction for Spanish and Portuguese speakers, for Latins, kind of like that. And they were correcting the sound of the S, like, you know, the word nasal, N-A-S-A-L. And they were calling attention to that, saying, it's not nasal, all right? It's not nasal, it's a Z sound, Z sound. A Brazilian would never confuse that. Because in Portuguese, A-S-A, a vowel, S vowel, sounds like a Z to us. So we wouldn't confuse and say nasal. The opposite could be true in a word like dishonest, in a word like, what's the word that we're always pronouncing incorrectly? The other day I said it. Disorganized. Okay, disorganized. We will say disorganized as a Z because we are used to going vowel S, vowel Z. But no. So they put in the same package, they put Spanish and Portuguese learners. No, it's not the same. Brazilians, Portuguese speakers have, you know, specific needs. You know, we have specific needs. Lucas was saying, my best teacher was French. Great example, Lucas. See? A good teacher is not really about the nationality, you know? It's not really. All right. So, what else here? What else here? Disagree, disappointed. Yes, Layla, those words, disagree, disappointed. Usually we say disagree, disappointed, right? But disagree, disappointed. So, these articles that I read, they were mentioning that, you know, how some people feel more comfortable, not some people actually, many people feel more comfortable and they like having a teacher that is non-native, a teacher that went through the same struggles that they did because they understand the students a little better, you know. So having that perspective, think about it. Have you ever thought about it? When I was a coordinator, I remember the first thing that the students came and asked was, I want a native teacher. And I couldn't say that, but what I thought was, my best teachers are not native. That's what I wanted to say, but I couldn't, right? But it's true. The best teachers are not necessarily native. The native speakers, to be amazing teachers, they have to decide to be amazing teachers, to take that profession just like anyone else and say, I'm going to be a great teacher, I'm going to dedicate, I'm going to study, you know, I'm going to do my best, and I have to find a method, teach my students the right way, the best way, dedicate, prepare classes, and it's not about where you were born. It's not about your birth certificate, okay? So I wanted to break that myth tonight. It is something I hear a lot, and I am very happy. At the same time, I don't know if I am happy or not, when people say that, oh, I thought you were native, you know? I really hope that the credit doesn't go away once you find that I'm Brazilian. Like, oh, so you're Brazilian. Okay, I don't care about you anymore. But at the same time, I feel happy that I heard this from 2 people already. They told me personally that before they met Fluent for real, before they met me here, they didn't believe that Brazilians could be great teachers. It's a pity, but it's true for many people. I know that a lot of people believe that Brazilians cannot be as good teachers, as good a teacher. A Brazilian cannot be as good a teacher as a native speaker, and that's not true. We have so many amazing, competent teachers in Brazil, and it is not about where you were born. It's about so many other things. I really hope that you were able, that this class can enable you to pick professionals that you want to work with better, and maybe break this myth to friends. Share this live stream with friends that are seeking, that are looking for English, that are maybe getting in the same path as you, trying to reach that 2% English, And anyway, that is what I had to share tonight with you all. I missed my partner MC, but she'll be back next week. And I think it was a great talk. Thank you all so much for your participation as usual. I love hearing your stories, and hearing how you feel and you struggle with the same things that I'm bringing. It's important for me to see and to feel that what I have to bring, is useful to you, and you feel the need to know more about it. All right, so in my view, the only concern of having classes with Brazilian teachers is that sometimes they use Portuguese during the lessons. Not Renata nor MC. No, Lucas, you will not be hearing Portuguese. And Denise, Carol, Emmanuel, who else walked in there? Our students, you all are our students here and on Instagram, but our students from the course, they can reassure that there is no Portuguese whatsoever. We'll go with English. Thank you all so much for coming. I will see you all next week, next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Brazil time, 8 p.m. Eastern time for MC. Thank you all so much, and bye-bye. Have an amazing rest of evening. Have a good night and a great weekend. Bye-bye.